hell of a win last night for the New York Mets over the Nationals. A playoff atmosphere at Citi Field, like it's been every night. Every night so far has been a playoff feel, and the Mets just simply do not lose at home, as they still only have 7 losses at home. The last home loss was against the White Sox in that day game where they switched from the night game to the day game. But again, last night, this team fights and fights. They will not die as they continue to battle, even in a game. Listen, I was at the game last night. That was the game. That was the kind of game it just felt like they were going to lose, right? Griffin Canning didn't have it. Gave up the 2-run home run in the first. He wasn't pitching well. They were hitting the ball. They were hitting the ball hard. They were hitting base hits. They had 7 hits, I believe, in the 3rd or 4th inning already. And the Mets were, staying in the game, but it just didn't have the feel of a win. It felt like, a lazy Tuesday night in June that they would just lose a game, which is not a big deal. But this team and that crowd last night was electric, especially in the 8th inning. And the 8th inning, you had Pete Alonso, who prior to his double had about 400 feet worth of infield pop-ups. He popped out. He fouled out in his first at bat. He popped out to third in his second at bat, and he just, it looked like an 0 for 4. Looked like an 0 for 4 for Pete. It looked like the Mets would lose, 4-2, 5-2, something like that. And the bullpen came in and they held strong. I give the bullpen credit again. Reed Garrett to Diaz looks like a real winning combination. I know last night it was the opposite. It was Diaz to Reed Garrett because they brought Diaz in the 9th to hold the game tied. But the Mets and that crowd and the crowd was electric. Again, listen, it's a full house, nearly a full house every night. And it's just a different feel. I mean, it feels like a continuation from, I know I've said it a million times, but it feels like a continuation from last year, right into this year. They just never stopped. And when you have Pete Alonso, Lindor, and Soto all hitting, which they all are. I mean, last night Lindor was 1 for 4, but he didn't mix in with the big inning. But when you have these 3 hitting, I mean, this is one of the best Mets teams I've ever seen. Hands down. And you could say that right now in June. I know we're only in June. It's June 10th, I believe, right? June 11th. This is one of the best Mets teams that the Mets have ever had. Because you have Lindor, who's going to the Hall of Fame. You have Soto, who will probably end up going to the Hall of Fame. And you have Alonso, who just comes through at every single turn this year. And then you add on to that the best starting pitching staff in baseball, relievers who are just gutsy, getting out of jams left and right. I mean, the jam in the 6th inning, there was 1st and 2nd, 1 out, and you had Castillo on the mound, and he just got a tailor-made 6-6-3 double play right to Lindor, and the inning was over. And then you go Reed Garrett in the 10th, stranding that runner, getting a big strikeout, a pop-up, a big strikeout, and then another strikeout. Oh, no, I'm sorry. And then a fly out to end the inning and hold it at 10 and hold it at 4-4, heading to the bottom of the 10th. When you shut the team down in the extra innings and you strand that runner, that is huge. And then, of course, the first pitch of the bottom of the 10th, McNeil just rips a base hit, and it's game over. And once the 8th inning got going, once they came back and they tied it, you kind of just felt like they were going to win the game. That was the point. When Pete got the hit off the wall is when I felt like I was like, okay, now we're going to win the game. Now I have some issues last night. Soto's got to start running these things out. Listen, Soto, that was a triple. And it could have come back to bite them in the ass because Soto walked it out of the box. He walked halfway to first base. Then he didn't even drop his bat until the ball got behind the right fielder. So he's maybe 15, 20 feet up the line, holding his bat, watching his fly ball or his line drive. It gets misplayed out in right field, and then he drops his bat and starts running. Now, that could have come back and bite him in the ass because if now he's on second, he could have been on third. That's a triple every day of the week. And then Alonso rings one off the left field wall and gets thrown out at second. If for some reason Soto doesn't score before Alonso gets tagged, the Mets are still down. That run doesn't count. So that could have been a huge play. Soto's got to run these things out. What are you doing? It's not asking that much. I mean, he had a bad 2 months. The last 2 weeks he's starting to hit. He's hitting now the last 2 weeks. And it's fantastic. And when we have Lindor, Alonso, and Soto, who very possibly could end up being the top 3 players in Mets history, position players, when it's all said and done. When you have these 3 hitting, this is an unstoppable lineup. But if you're going to have little stupid things like Soto not running the first, listen, that wasn't a short. That wasn't a can of corn off the bat. He hit it hard. It was a line drive. It was a sinking line drive. He plays out there. He knows what it is. The guy misplayed it. He should have caught it. But still, there's no reason you should be standing 15 feet up the first baseline with the bat in your hand as the ball gets misplayed out in right field. He should be halfway to second. And there's no excuses at all about that. I'm not going to make any excuses. Soto's got to run these things out. That's going to come back. It's going to come back and bite you in the ass one of these days. One of these days, something like last night's going to happen, and Alonso's going to get thrown out at second before Soto hits the plate, and the Mets are going to lose a game. And then it's going to be all about the entire show, and every show out there on the radio, and every article written the next day is going to be about Soto not running out the ball. And how he doesn't run to first. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to bring back the clips of last night and all the other times he didn't run it out. So listen, things are going good. Just run the damn thing out to first base. That's all we're asking. Now, he hit a home run last night. He was 2 for 4. He had 2 more RBIs. Soto had a good game. But it would have all been forgotten if Alonso gets thrown out at second before Soto touches the plate. It would have all been forgotten. And it would have been nothing but that today. Nothing but that. As far as more good things last night, McNeil is really picked it up. Listen, I got on McNeil. I've gotten on McNeil a lot in the past, last season, the season before that, a lot of the beginning of this season. But McNeil is really playing well now. And he's really stepped up, and he's starting to swing the bat like he did in the year that he won the batting title. He's got his average up to 266. He got the big walk-off hit last night. Didn't waste any time with that. First pitch, fastball, right down the right field line, game over. He's got 7 RBIs in his last 5 games. It's really his last 4 games. He's got 7 RBIs. So McNeil has really picked it up and played well. Acuna is struggling a bit now since coming up. Acuna, not Acuna. Mauricio's struggling a bit since he's come up. He was 0 for 3 last night. He struck out twice. It's not as easy as it was when he came up a couple years ago, where he was just hitting the ball all over the ballpark. He was stealing bases. He was running. He was playing field. That's going to come. We can have some patience with Mauricio, especially because the team's winning. The rest of the guys are hitting. And what can you say about Pete Alonso? I mean, the guy is just so clutch. 2 pop-ups, didn't get the ball out of the infield. The Mets in the 5th inning, I believe it was the 5th inning, had their 3, 4, 5 hitters up. Soto, Alonso, Nimmo. They didn't get the ball out of the infield. And that I was like, okay, so it's going to be a loss tonight. And then they come through with that 2-out rally. And it all started with a good at-bat by Marte, too. Give Marte credit, because that rally started. Marte came up with 2 out, nobody on. He was down 0-2 in the count, and he drew a walk and a real good at-bat by Starling Marte, who's another one that's really come along here in the last couple weeks. The Mets have opened up a 5-game lead on the Phillies. They lead the Nats by 12.5. The Braves have fallen out of it. They're 14.5 back. So, like I said that the last homestand when they're playing these teams that are not great, like the Nationals are not a bad team, but they're not a good team. They're 6 games under 500. They're really playing over their head. They weren't supposed to be even here in this in this 6 games under 500. But the Phillies have dropped off too. The Phillies are 2-8 in their last 10, 2-8, and in that span, the Mets are 8-2. And that's how they've opened up this 5-game lead. And listen, you want to get it to 10. You just want to put this thing away as quick as possible. And I'm not counting. I'm not saying the division's over or anything like that. We got a long way to go. The Mets will hit another couple swoons in their season. Don't you worry about that. But Citi Field is becoming a house of horrors for opposing teams to come into. The atmosphere is a party-like postseason atmosphere. It really is. Every night. These guys, the fans are on their feet, 35, 40,000 on their feet with 2 strikes. It's just a straight continuation from last year. And it is so much fun to be at that ballpark this year. And I'm honored that I get to go there almost every night. It is just a fun atmosphere. It's a party type atmosphere. It's a different feel when the Mets are good than when the Yankees are good. It just is. Yankees are more corporate. It feels like they're supposed to be winning. They're supposed to be doing this. Mets fans, we're just partying out there. We're having a grand old time. And you kind of, like, to me, I didn't feel like the Mets would win. But in the building, I know the guy behind me sitting yesterday down off of the Nationals dugout. The guy sitting behind me, he was telling his buddy in the 4th, 5th inning when I'm sitting there saying to myself, okay, you know what, Canning doesn't have it tonight. They're down. The Nationals are hitting them all over the ballpark. He goes, you can never count this team out. Wait, you'll see. And what happened in the 8th inning? The Mets exploded with 2 outs. They get the good at bat from Marte with the walk. He draws a walk. And then you get Soto, Alonso, and it's a tie game. Back-to-back double. Just like that. It went from this game, it's going to be a loss. And then bam, bam, bam. Walk, double, double. And the game is tied. And that's how dangerous this team is with that lineup. And with those guys in the middle of it. This might be the best Mets team I've ever seen. And that, listen, I haven't seen a ton of good Mets teams. The truth is, I've seen a lot more bad Mets teams and terrible Mets teams and dysfunctional Mets teams than I have good Mets teams. But this one, that had a playoff feel last night, and it almost does every single night. And they just simply don't lose at home. They don't lose seven losses at home. And we're in June. I mean, they're 25-7 at home, and they're only 1 game over 500 on the road. So it's not like they're killing it on the road. 10 games over, right? Something like that. They are 18 games over 500 at home, 1 game over 500 on the road. Citi Field is not a place where opposing teams want to come into now. The building has not sounded like it has this year at any other point in any other regular season. Now I know we had there was the World Series, and they had, but we've had playoff games, and last year's run was great, and the place was rocking last year. This year during the regular season I've never heard it like this, never. I'm sure it was like this in mid '80s, but I was too young for that. But there's something special brewing, and it's going to be a special summer at Citi Field if the Mets can stay healthy and if they can continue to get the pitching that they're getting. Even last night when Griffin Canning, he didn't have it, kept him in the ballgame. Right? He gave up that 2-run home run in the first. Then he gave up another run in the second. It could have kind of spiraled out of control. And then nobody would have been upset about it. He's been fantastic. Went from worst ERA in baseball to being a really good pitcher this year on a good team. But he didn't. He didn't let it spiral out of control. He kept the Mets in it. They keep them in it, and you keep giving them chances. Eventually, with that lineup, the Mets are going to come through. And just listen, just a great win last night. So the Mets are now 43-24, 19 games over 500. They could go 20 over with a win tonight, and it's going to be Peterson on the mound tonight. And listen, Peterson's become one of the best pitchers on the staff, and you can say that about any of them, to be honest with you. But Peterson is another one. Nobody saw this coming, and he has been fantastic. He throws a wicked breaking ball. He's getting hitters out. He's got high strike. Listen. And then when you get the bullpen, you got Budo came in last night. Budo pitched well last night. He pitched 2 innings. Got himself into a little bit of trouble in that second inning, but bullpen came in and bailed him out. And they've been doing that all year. Castillo got a big double play yesterday. Diaz came in 1, 2, 3 in the ninth. And then you can't say enough about Reed Garrett. Reed Garrett is going to end up being the setup man for this team. He's going to be the eighth inning guy. It's coming. Because he has been unbelievable. And to hold that runner last night, to go pop up, strike out, fly out, and hold that runner and leave that. Ground out, strike out, fly out. Because the first batter grounded out to first. That moved the runner to third. So he had a runner on third with one out. And Reed Garrett was able to get a strikeout, fly out, and get out of the inning. And that's huge in extra innings. Because now you're starting with a runner on second base. You're in very good shape. The big deal in the extra innings is you want to prevent the second run from scoring. Because you almost you started with a runner on second, nobody out. You almost kind of assume that he's going to score. Not against Reed Garrett, not against these Mets. Tonight, game 2 of the series, Mets and Nationals from Citi Field, another 7 o'clock start. The pitchers for tonight's game, like we said, it's David Peterson, 4-2 with a 2.80 ERA. All the Mets pitchers under 3. The whole staff. And he's going against Jake Irvin, who's pitched well, who's a good pitcher, a good right-handed pitcher. He's 5-2 for the Nationals this year. He's got just over a 4 ERA. The Nationals aren't a bad team. They're playing well this year. 6 games under is not terrible. But the Mets try to make it 20 games over 500 tonight at Citi Field. They have a 5-game lead on the Phillies, creating some distance. Just like I told you, beating up on teams that are lesser than them. They got the Rays coming in a couple days for 3. Mets could open this thing up before the All-Star break. It's not out of the question that they go into the All-Star break with a 10-game lead, 25 games over 500. It's not out of the question. This team's cruising to 100 wins right now. And they're only 1 game over 500 on the road. It's the house of horrors for these opposing teams. 25-7 at home for the Mets. They just simply don't lose. And last night was another prime example of it. Even when they don't get the great starting pitching, they're able to find a way. They get a 2-out rally in the 9th. McNeil wins it in the 10th. Another walk-off win. It's been a lot of fun out at Citi Field, folks. We'll be out there again tonight. 5-4 Mets win last night. Tonight, game 2 of the series, Mets and Nats. We'll talk to you later, everybody. Don't forget, hit that QR code in the corner, bottom left corner. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Every little bit helps. Leave us a review, folks. If you want to tune in, you want to find that Savo show. If you're from my hometown, we did a Savo with we did an interview with the manager from Savo High School baseball team. They're going for the state championship. Game is Friday. Good luck to them. Although we're going to talk to you before then. Tonight, Mets and Nats, 7 o'clock, Citi Field. From the Brian Gunzel Studios, I'm Bob Walters. See ya.